The figure standing in the fog did not move. It did not need to. Morayo's breath caught in her throat, because the face looking back at her was not a stranger's face at all. It was her mother's. Not as she remembered her in the final years, thin, tired, worn down by a body that had given up before her spirit did. This was her mother as she'd been decades earlier. Young. Full-cheeked. Wearing the same green wrapper she'd been buried in. "Mama," Morayo whispered, though every instinct in her body told her not to. The figure smiled the way her mother used to smile, slow, patient, like she had all the time in the world, because in a way, she did. "You shouldn't be here," the figure said, in a voice that sounded almost right. Almost. There was something underneath it, like a second voice speaking half a bit behind the first. "Where is here?" Morayo asked. "What is this place?" "This is where everything borrowed goes to wait," her mother's face said. "Every memory Aya Aloj ever collected. Every name. Every dream someone gave up without knowing they'd given it. It doesn't disappear, child. It comes here. It waits for someone to come looking for it." Morayo took a step closer, though her legs screamed at her not to. "Then Deli's memory of me, it's here. I can get it back." The figure's smile did not change, but something behind its eyes did. That is the question everyone asks. And it is never the right question. Then what is? Not what can you take back, the figure said. But what are you willing to leave in its place? To understand what happened next, you have to understand what Aya Aloj herself never told anyone in Ijegun Ode, not the elders, not the desperate mothers, not even Baba Fadaib, who came closer to guessing the truth than anyone alive. Aya Aloj was not born a market woman. She was not even born in Ijegun Ode. 40 years before Morayo ever set foot on that road, there had been another girl, sharp-tongued, stubborn, exactly the way Morayo was now, who had walked that same road for exactly the same reason. Her name does not survive in any story still told above ground. But what she wanted was simple. Her younger sister had drowned in the river during flood season, and she refused to accept that the river got to keep her. She reached the second crossroads. She found the same figure Morayo found, though in her time, it wore a different face, because the crossroads always shows you the face that will make you stay. She made the bargain. Her sister's memory of drowning was erased, undone, folded back like a piece of cloth, as if it never happened. But the girl who made that bargain never left the crossroads the same. Something in her had to remain behind to keep the debt balanced. A trade of one kind of life for another. She became the keeper. The seller. The one who sat at the market stall, handing out small pieces of relief to a town that never asked what it was really buying. She became Aya Aloj. This is why Aya Aloj's skull cracked when Morayo asked her the question everyone was too afraid to ask. Because Aya Aloj already knew exactly where the debt went. She had been paying it herself, quietly, for 40 years, one stolen memory at a time, not just from the townspeople, but slowly, silently, from her own mind as well. Piece by piece, she had been forgetting who she used to be, long before anyone in Ijegun Ode noticed the rain had stopped. The figure at the crossroads was not her enemy. It was simply what remained of the bargain itself, patient, endless, and utterly without mercy, because mercy had never been part of the arrangement. Back at the crossroads, Morayo stood in front of her mother's borrowed face and understood, for the first time, the true shape of the choice in front of her. "If I leave something behind," she said slowly, "what happens to me?" "You become like her," the figure said, tilting its head, her mother's head, but the movement was wrong, too smooth, too patient. "You take up a small piece of the debt. Not all of it. Aya Aloj has carried this alone for 40 years. It was never meant to be carried by one person forever. And if I say no? If I walk away and leave Deli exactly as he is? Then you walk away," the figure said simply. "No one is punished for refusing. But no one is given back what they came looking for, either." Morayo thought of her brother's blank, polite stare. The way he'd looked at her like a stranger asking for directions. She thought of her mother's actual voice, not this borrowed imitation, humming over a cooking pot on evenings that felt impossibly far away now. And she thought of something else. Something that mattered more than getting her brother's memory back exactly as it was. "I don't want his memory of me returned," she said finally. "I want the dead to stop growing. I want no one else in Ijegun Ode to wake up forgetting the people they love. That's the price I'll pay." For the first time, something shifted in the figure's expression, genuine surprise, quickly hidden. "That is not the bargain most people choose," it said. "I'm not most people," Morayo answered. "Ask Aya Aloj. She'll tell you." What exactly Morayo gave up that night at the crossroads, nobody in Ijegun Ode has ever been able to say for certain, not even Morayo herself, in the years that followed. Some things, once given, don't leave a shape behind for you to remember them by. But 3 weeks later, the rain returned. Not gently. Not as a soft mercy after months of drought. It came the way long overdue things often do, hard, sudden, almost violent, hammering the cracked earth until the whole town smelled of wet soil and relief. Aya's store stood empty that morning. Some said she simply wasn't feeling well. Others noticed, quietly, that her hands, for the first time anyone could remember, trembled slightly as she folded her clothes, as though some old, terrible weight had finally eased, even if only a little. The children who had forgotten their mothers' faces did not suddenly remember them. That debt was not undone. Some things, once paid, stay paid. But no new debts were collected. No new names disappeared from memory. No new mother woke up unable to recall the lullaby she'd sung her whole life. The bleeding, in other words, had stopped. Even if the wound remained. Deli never called his sister by name again. He passed her on the road sometimes, nodded politely, the way you nod at someone whose face is familiar but whose name you can't quite place. It broke something in Morayo every single time. But she never told him why, and she never went back to the crossroads to ask for it back. Some prices, once paid, are meant to stay paid. Here is what we know for certain, because it can be confirmed by anyone who still lives in Ijegun Ode today. The market at the crossroads is still there. Aya still sits behind her stall on Tuesdays and Fridays, older now, quieter, her hands slower than they used to be. She still has, on occasion, exactly what a desperate visitor needs, though these days, she is far more careful about what she asks for in return, and far more likely to send someone away with nothing but a piece of advice instead of a bargain. Morayo grew older in that town too. She married eventually, though she never spoke of that night to her husband, not even once. When Deli's first daughter was born, he named her Morayo, without fully understanding why the name felt right, a small, unconscious echo of a debt he'd never known he owed his sister. And the second crossroads, the one hidden past the market, the one the fog still protects, no one in Ijegun Ode goes looking for it anymore. Not since Morayo. The elders warned their children away from that third road the way parents everywhere warn children away from things they don't fully understand themselves. If you ask Boba Fadib's grandchildren what happens down that road, they'll tell you what he told them, right up until the day he passed. Some doors, once opened, choose who gets to close them. Morayo simply chose to close hers on her own terms. Whether that's comfort or warning depends entirely on who's telling the story. Some say the crossroads still waits. Some say it always will. Somewhere out there, in a town most maps don't bother naming, a woman still sits behind a stall of clay pots and folded cloths, and if you ever find yourself needing exactly what you didn't know you needed, ask yourself first what you're truly willing to leave behind for it. Because in Ijegun Ode, they'll tell you, nothing from that market has ever, in 40 years, come free.